Part of working on these old classic cars is a lot of the trim gets bent up, and it's really expensive to try to find replacement parts. I'm going to show you how to straighten it out, make it look pretty darn good. It's easy, just takes a little bit of time and patience. Keep watching, I'll show you. So I'm putting the trim back on the car. These clips here have a nut on the back. You got to pull the door panel off so you can get at it. You can turn them and give them a hook on the trim. But then I realized this trim got a big kink in it. That one time this door caught it, it bent it out. So let's work on straightening this out as best we can without damaging it any more than it already is. Then maybe we can polish it a little bit, see how good we can get it. Here's a trick I like to use it quite a bit. Still play with your clay? Play-Doh? Go in the kids' room, steal some of their clay. And it makes a really good profile gauge. You match it on there. And you peel it off. And you got a good profile of what you're after. Fits that perfect. Now I'll cut a piece of wood that fits that. That'll fit in there. I'll probably take another piece of wood, carve it out the opposite, so I can put it in a vise and crunch them together and reform that section. Now these areas right here on the edge where it's bent and buckled, that's actually stretched. So I'll probably have to cut that to relieve it because I have no way to shrink that little tiny spot in there. Now I got these two pieces made. What I did is I made this one fit pretty close. Then I took some 80 grit, put it over it, and ran it together like that, sawed it to make it fit. Most of that I cut out with a flap disc. I've made these out of Bondo before too. Take the piece you're using, cover it in plastic, otherwise the Bondo's going to stick. Then use Bondo. You can reinforce it. Use some reinforced Bondo. It works. It's not. I mean, it takes a while, but I made these up in like 10 minutes. So let's see how this is going to work. This is my thought process. Takes a little finagling. Everything's lined up. And that straightened it out pretty good. Now the piece that's on here, on the outside, like that, you want to chamfer these edges. Otherwise these edges might dig into the material and make marks on top, on both ends, which wouldn't be cool. So that's pretty close. It's a lot better. At least it's kind of straight. It probably, yeah, it did put a dent in this one. I expected that. So I'll reposition it. Try it again. See if we can get a little bit more out of it. This won't get all of it out, obviously. We got a lot of it out. Okay. Now I'll set up a little flat surface to hammer and dolly on that. Now I got my favorite little anvil set up here. Use whatever you got. Piece of train track. I've had that since I was a little kid. Well, my dad had it. My grandfather had it. This is just a big chunk of rubber, so you're not pounding directly on the steel because that'll make impressions in the metal. And then I made a little dolly out of some UHM, which is you go into the kitchen and you steal your wife's old cutting board and take a chunk out of that. And that stuff works great for this kind of stuff. And I just cut that out, cut a little chunk of it out, and hit it on the grinder, kind of rounded it. Let's see how that works. That worked pretty well. It's not completely gone, but it's better. Now you can take the edge of the UHM and you can grind it to a little bit of a rounded point, so you kind of get it on the high spots or low spots and keep tapping it down. And just the trick is just take your time. Now you can just go out this cold with a hammer and start beating on it, which I've done, but when you're done, it's ugly because every time you miss, which is almost every time you hit it, it'll make a dent and it'll look bad. So this is what I suggest you do. This is what I do. Seems to work. And just go as far as you want to go. Get as close as you can get it. I'm not going to try to get this perfect, but I will work on it a little bit more. Now I got as far as I can get it with the plastic. Not bad. I kind of filed this to a little bit of a point on one end. So it's a little bit of a point, and you can run it along and you can feel the high spot and then smack it and just, do that. But this has got give. It's not hard like steel, so you'll never get it all out. So I've got a set of these really cheap Harbor Freight punches that I use. I just grind the ends of them off. And now I can go along real slow, just on the high spots. And see how much of those that I can get out. Now it's never going to be back 100% because the metal's stretched, but you can get it pretty darn close. And when you polish it, it'll be pretty good. But here you want to be careful, because if you go too far, you'll push it up because it's thin material. If you dent the inside, you've dented the outside, and you're going to see it. So just keep working with it until you're done with it or you don't care anymore. I think that's about as close as I'm going to try to get. Now I get some rubbing compound, see if I can't clean it up. You can go as far as you want on this. Here's a little bit of metal polish. This is mag wheel polish. Nothing fancy. You can do this. It's easier to do it now. Perfect? No. A whole lot better than it was? Yes. Okay. If you want to get fancy, you can go a whole lot farther with that. with it, but this is as far as I'm going to go. Totally usable. I don't know which way you can see it better. But hey, it's an old runner. I don't want perfect. I just want original, as clean as I can get it. There. Came out pretty good. Is it noticeable? Yeah. Not bad. Right there, not bad. I'm happy with it. Clears the door, or the fender rather, when I open it. Good deal. Cool. Now I got this other piece of trim on. Now because this fender is actually off of 52, I think. It's different trim, and this is a 51. These holes don't quite line up. This piece is a little high. I'll show you. So I'm going to have to get that there. Have to drop that piece down. It's a little bit too high on the fender. I'll have to get some more 1032 nuts. I'm all out. But there it is. That'll go back on. Got an extra hole there. Well, the trim's back on. I think it looks pretty good. I am gonna lighten up that fender, but that I can just mask off everything and go right over it. Touch it up again. Come spring, when it warms up a little bit, it's cooler than the devil out there right now. Thanks for watching.